People of Reddit who have been denied when they proposed. Why did it happen? And what was the end result? I turned down a proposal using the excuse that he was drunk. He was, but I knew he was serious. I drove him home and tried the old "I want to be friends" speech, but he shut me down. He said if I didn't love him, he would just have to get over me, and he got out of the car and walked away. A day later I realized what a fucking idiot I was being, and I called him. Tomorrow is our 26th anniversary. I'm the denier. I'd been dating this girl for 6 months, and it was going pretty well. We hardly ever fought, but when we did it was hard for us to get back to normal. At a good point, she said I feel like I should pop the question. I have absolutely no poker face, and she instantly saw that I wasn't on board. As a child of the 80s, all of my friends had parents who'd divorced, and I'd made an oath to myself that I was just going to be married once. I liked this girl a lot, but I wasn't convinced yet that what we had was going to last forever. So, we stayed together, went to couples counseling, and learned how to fight. It sounds strange, but I can't tell you how effective it was. We learned that my conflict pattern is to constantly work on a problem until it's solved, where her pattern is to blow off steam over time. The result was that I would keep conversations going when we fought, and would basically chase her around, keeping her mad and blocking her attempts at breaking off to cool down. I learned to just let her be mad and check back in later, and she learned to say I just need to be by myself for a bit. It worked. Our good relationship with rough fights turned into great relationship with mature low drama fights. Conflicts that used to hang a dark cloud over the house for days were now resolved in hours. At that point I felt comfortable enough to say yes to a year-long engagement. And we've now been married 18 years, have supported each other through thick and thin, and are raising 2 awesome kids. The only regret I have is that we ended up without a proposal story, as it was effectively negotiated over time. I did get on my knee and present a ring at a fancy dinner, but even then it was a ring we'd picked out together, as she was a jewelry smith. Not denied during a proposal, but 99% sure she realized I was going to propose, and bailed before I had the chance. 8 years and changed together. Everything seemed totally fine. We talked about a future together plenty of times. Engagement rings, jobs, housing, kids, etc. The job and housing parts were going forward, and she had shown me rings and talked weddings plenty, so it felt like it was time to finally do that. Bought a ring, tried planning some neat trips to take her on for an awesome proposal. They kept not happening. Finally decided I was just going to do it around New Year's, but right before that she bailed. Timing was just so perfect for her not to have figured it out. Never really got an explanation. Just the general, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you." One of those kinda generic statements that you hate to get, especially after so long. But at the same time I'm sure there was plenty of legitimacy to it. We met when we were young, and we grew into different people. People change a lot between the mid-teens and mid-20s. We tried to maintain a friendship for a while after that, but it was super hard for me, because I was still totally into her. I had to basically drop off the map entirely for a year or so, because we shared the same social circle and I just got so incredibly uncomfortable around her. No hard feelings I guess at the end of the day. It sucked, but it wasn't like something awful happened between us. Eventually we just stopped talking. She drifted to a new social group. I got back in mine. Life goes on. Definitely not where I expected to be at this point in my life though. Not anywhere near as exciting / interesting as some other stories. 8 years ago. It's been 8 years. We had known each other for 5 years, dated for 3.5. Every single day I saw her was the best day of my life. We met while working at a pizza chain, and had gotten close at work. I eventually worked up the courage to ask her out, even though it was awfully frowned upon as she was a driver, and I was a manager. She said yes, and we went to a party together and literally didn't talk to a single other soul that night. I was hooked. We dated for a year, and then moved in together. I can still see her face perfectly, even that long ago. Her family was wonderful. Her father an esteemed professor at a nearby college and her mother was a cancer survivor with a heart of gold. Everything just seemed to fit, and I knew that I wanted to be with her forever. After dating for 3 years, I finally popped the question. I had set up a normal night in, ordered a pizza, and had a nice little night in. We had a cat, Triumph, a nice little apartment, the whole shebang. I had tied a little pillow with the ring onto tree and sat her in the other room while my lady was in the bathroom. When she got back, I called for the cat and she came in, pillow and all on her back. I proposed and she burst into tears, saying she was sorry and ran out of the apartment. I tried desperately to reach her through family, friends, any way imaginable. I finally heard back from her sister after 3 days. Her entire family knew, and I was the only person out of the loop. She was diagnosed with a very aggressive terminal brain cancer just 3 days prior to me proposing. I was gutted for so many reasons, but I could understand why she didn't tell me. After I had proposed, she told her sister that she had decided not to put me through that, but I didn't care. I would have stayed with her to the end of the earth. I tried night and day to contact her to no avail. She died just 5 weeks after I had proposed. I have never felt more lost and alone than I did at her funeral. Her family were very comforting, but I began to hate myself, thinking that it was something that I had done to scare her away, making her believe that I would leave her if she told me, when it couldn't have been further from the truth. I went into a deep depression for a very long time afterwards. I drank and did drugs, day and night. Went from job to job, not showing up for days on end. I dropped out of school, lost a lot of my friends. Considered ending my life a few times. I know now that she kept it from me to try and save me the grief of losing her. But there's nothing in the world I wouldn't give to go back in time. Just to hear her say yes. After a Christmas vacation we were home, and I asked her about marriage. I don't want to marry you. I never wanted to marry you. I never will marry you. Followed by a 30-minute speech about missing her single life. I died a little inside, honestly. Tried to make it work, but I realize now I stopped trying after that. 8 months later she moves out. 3 months after that she is begging me to take her back. She wants to get married. She wants to own a house. And I'm just too hurt to believe her. Therapy is helping. But a 5-year relationship died that day, and I miss it, but I'm not sure I miss her anymore. Her addiction and alcoholism played a major role in her choice and feelings. She had, apparently, been using for a few months, and kept it hidden. If you need help quitting heroin, go find it. It fucks up more than just your life. The people you hurt the worst are the ones you love the most, and that love for you may never end, but how much they care for you just may. My dad proposed to my mom after they'd been seeing each other for just under 2 weeks. She laughed and basically told him he was crazy, that it was way too soon. My dad said, and he is very proud of this fact, "Fine. I asked you once. I'm not gonna ask again." My mom thought he was bluffing. After a year of dating she started giving him a hard time about not asking her to get married again, and he stuck to his guns and said she missed her chance and he wasn't going to ask again. My mom finally broke down and asked him to marry her. Made sure she properly took the piss out of him when she did it too. Made a big show about asking his father for permission. Got down on one knee in public. Got him the gaudiest engagement ring she could find. He said yes, and they just celebrated their 30th anniversary. Not my story, but the best one I've ever heard. My friend's parents met at a bar down the shore. Her dad was crazy about her mom, but it was unrequited. She slept with him anyway, just a one-night stand, and ignored him after that, until she found out she was pregnant. He was over the moon, and she was intent on having the baby. He tried to be with her, but she consistently refused him. Proposed to her several times, ending in eye rolls, and exasperated no's from her each time. After 9 months, she went into labor and let him come with her into the delivery room. Just her and this guy who had been begging her to marry him. A few hours into labor, The doctors started to notice something was wrong. The baby's heartbeat was slowing rapidly. The mother started to panic, but the father stayed calm. He stayed with her and communicated information from the doctors, but there was little anyone could do. She delivered a stillborn. After everything happened, my friend's mom realized she had found her soulmate. They finally got together and are still married to this day. Proposed to girlfriend after she got off work on a Monday with her favorite meal prepared and the apartment all lit with candles, rose petals on the floor. After having had a special weekend together, she is shy and promised violence if proposed to in public. She said no. When I asked her to marry me as she came in the door to our apartment. She worked in the medical field and had puke all over her. She showered and said yes. I proposed after dating my girlfriend for 2 years. I was about to graduate college and move away, and she was a year behind me. I had the ring. Everything perfectly planned. We discussed our future together. When I proposed, she initially said yes. About half an hour later, she seemed off. I asked her if anything was wrong, and she said she needed to think. We talked for a while, and then she changed her answer. She said we were too young. She wanted to be on her own for a while, to be independent, etc. Jokes on her though, because now we are married. I asked. She said no, because I drank way too much. I said I would get it under control. I tried bluffing and bullshitting instead. She saw through it and kicked me out. She was right. I don't have a clue where she is or whatever happened to her. I quit drinking now, but that was definitely my life's most cruel lesson. I proposed after 3ish years of dating and 1 year of living together, and she said no. I was offering her my great grandparents' wedding ring. That was Friday night. By Sunday night, after a trip to her parents, she came back and told me that she was gay. That was 22 years ago. Since then I have been married for 16 years to the next woman I dated. My wife has the wedding ring that I offered to my ex. The gay girlfriend has been with her partner for nearly 22 years. I have a daughter, and they have a girl and a boy. I love them, and they are just the best people ever. This is a bullet we both dodged.